with the kids, and a lot of motherfuckers, they don't want their kids in the streets, and they'll say to, get your education, go to school, and this and that. But your education in what? What field you want to go into? The kids ain't stupid. They got brains like everybody else, and it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's really up to the kid to decide what it is that they want to do. But it's also up to the kid to decide what it is that you need to do. They need to understand that the needs way more than the wants. The wants you get after the needs. I mean, every blue moon, you get the chance to do what you need. I mean, to do what you want. But the needs are more of a priority. And one thing you need to do is you need to survive. So, going back to the school thing, well, let's figure out what you want to do, and let's find out how much it pays to do that. Let's look and see if that's a career that's booming or a career on a decline. All of this information ain't like before, like back in the days, when I was a kid, you had to go and pick up books this big and shit, or, get with a counselor. A lot of this shit you can access online. So you can actually go and do research on the field that you're looking in. I mean, all the way down to finding out how much it costs, for the courses, to go to college, to get a degree in that field. So you definitely want to have a degree that's going to pay you something. And then before you even get that far, you got to pay to go to school to get the degree or the education. Then, after the fact, if you ain't got no financial aid, or you ain't willing to take out no loan. Personally, I think the loan is a bad deal, but if you think it's a good idea, hey, be prepared to pay that because they're going to want that money as soon as you got out of school. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of different factors, but I think it's okay for some of these parents to come out and say, oh, well, go to school, get your education. Well, the kids will look around and say, well, shit, man, I ain't gonna make no money going to school. They can only, they got tunnel vision. They can't see the big picture. They can't see, how that may help them 5-6 years up the road. All they see is right now. They want instant gratification. A lot of these kids don't want to put the work in, but the ones that do and the ones that pick the fields, that pay a nice wage or at least a livable wage, they reap the fruits of that. They reap the benefits of that. But what happens is it's a lot of us that don't really have a clue. We indecisive. We undecided as to what we really want to do. But let's look at things that you need to do. You know what I'm saying? You need to survive. You need to eat. You need a roof over your head. You need all this. How are you going to provide that for yourself? Let alone if you start trying to have a family. How are you going to provide that for yourself and for your wife or your children? How are you going to do all this? What is the plan? What do you want to do? And this is the type of conversation you need to have. Instead of just go get your education, go to school. Otherwise, what'll happen is you get a lot of kids like what you got right now. A lot of kids are just floating around, aimless than a motherfucker, in the streets, just getting into shit because they got idle time. That's time they could be using to plan their future, to plan their lives. It ain't nothing to play with because the shit can go either way for anybody. You know what I'm saying? It can go either way for any kid, especially black kids. Because it ain't no secret that it's a lot of temptation out there for us. In the world, I mean, every neighborhood got drugs, but we seem to gravitate towards it more. It's more black rappers and entertainers that glorify gangs and street life. So for us, it's it's more it's more of a thing that we have to really be mindful of, or we should be mindful of. So I guess what I'm trying to say in short is that be specific. Be specific with these kids. Give them some suggestions, some ideas that maybe they can use, and they may or may not use them, but at least if they have those type of ideas, that could spin off into something else that they might be able to use or turn into something that can get the wheels turning instead of just giving something vague. Because kids will just be sitting in school looking like, well, why the fuck am I here? But if you give them some ideas, that could be what motivates them to stay in school and to stay away from the streets. Just like you don't tell a kid to stay off the streets and you don't give them the reasons why. I mean, you need to be specific so this kid is in the know. Now, if the kid just want to get out there or whatever, then hey, they're gonna deal with the consequences of the motherfucking game. That's just what it is. Ain't no kids exempt from it. There's a whole lot of black kids that have been shot up and killed or locked up for life. And that ain't gonna stop. That shit gonna keep going. Because there's so many kids that be thinking, oh, it ain't gonna happen to me. It happened to all my buddies, but it ain't gonna happen to me. And then they find themselves being a victim of the same shit that they made somebody else a victim of. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it ain't nothing to play with, man. You ain't got but one life. You know what I'm saying? This shit is real out here. It ain't nothing to fuck around with. It ain't nothing to sit up and think it's a joke. You know, um, Anything can happen at any given moment. And if I was you, I would put myself in a position to where I'm as far away from that shit as I could be. And that's exactly what I did because I wanted to. You know, the streets ain't nothing for these motherfucking kids. It ain't worth it. You know, but that's just my opinion.